it can be done with dignity, just like Martin Luther King. Everything he did was with dignity. And if you're rotten no matter what color skin you have. That's why he said it's not the color of one's skin, it's the content of your character. You're rotten, you're rotten. It doesn't matter what color skin you have. And that's the way we need to look at things. Some people are just rotten. Hi everybody. I know my videos can be very long, but within each video, should you have the patience to watch the entire thing, I go through history and then I bring it back to the present, because I want people to realize that all this stuff that we hear in the present, where people are pointing fingers at certain groups of people and blaming them for all the ills of society. And a lot of these people who are pointing fingers are actually white, and they're pointing fingers at the white people. That way, if they point the finger first, nobody's going to point the finger at them. You know, it's a game. It's a game. And we have had a president who we all voted for. Well, not all of us, but most white people voted for, because he won by a white majority twice. The second time was because of the IRS. He was getting people who belonged to conservative groups and the Tea Party, branding them as racists and auditing them to death. So he won the second time out of fear. The first time was because a lot of white people we were looking for a change. We wanted to vote for a black president. And some people voted for him because they didn't want to be seen as a racist. They could say, oh, I voted for such and such. See, I'm not a racist. So there's a lot of hypocrisy around why a lot of people voted for him. But he basically made us vote for him on the idea that there was a lot of racism going on. There was a tremendous amount of racism going on, which was a lie, because he won. He wouldn't have won. If the racism that he claims existed really did exist, he would not have won. And if there is racism going on and people being treated unjustly, then the people who voted for him, you just let us know, and we will go through the law. We will make changes through the system legally, without riots, without burning down cities, without burning down minority neighborhoods, and without the world looking at the population of America and the minority population of America and getting the wrong idea about minorities. See, what he did was he gave the world and the people in this country the wrong idea about minorities, rather than the right idea that they want homes, they want families, they want to be loved, they want to be educated, they want to succeed in life. But however, since he met this didn't happen in a vacuum. This didn't happen away from him. This happened in the White House. He met hundreds of times with the leaders of these riots and patted them on the back. And he also worked with, beginning when he was a junior senator, worked with George Soros, who uses people and tells them that they're oppressed. And the person who got elected into office is a racist, is the one that's going to oppress you. So he pays them, and he does this in countries all over the world, pays them to riot, to bring down the government, a peaceful government, and he brings in a socialist communist government and in fact an Islamic government where you will be living under Sharia. This is actually very bad. And the fact that Obama coupled with him and used US aid and also money from the State Department to do this all over the world, change the outcome of elections, or destroy the party in place. And you're going to ask yourself, why is he doing this? And he started doing this as a junior senator. And you would think that that would be wrong for him to use hundreds of millions of dollars, probably billions at this point, misusing funds to go into the pockets of foreigners instead of, we've got a lot of poor people here. Poor people don't just consist of minorities, though the minorities do have schools that should be teaching the minority children better and encouraging them to succeed, and that they can succeed, that it's in them to do it. We know this, it's not race-based. Lord knows if the Nigerians are one of the smartest groups of people in the world, and they have a certain color skin, that means anybody. It's not race-based. It can be done. The difference is they expect the children to succeed, and they encourage the children to succeed. They have a home base. They have support. Whereas in this country, the minorities have been beaten down over the years and been told that, well, to get welfare, the father can't be in the home, or you're going to need this money because you're never going to make this on your own. So you got to make sure you vote for the Democrat. Otherwise, this money is going to be taken away from you. They're telling the minorities, you will never succeed. You must vote for the Democrats, as you've been voting for the Democrats for 60 years. And the riots came under a black president. Under a black president. You'd think that things would be changing. Of course, I remember he had his pen and his phone, and he deballed the Congress, and he could do whatever he wanted to. There was no excuse for him to say, well, it's the Republicans, or it's the whites, or it's any group that's fighting me. In fact, the first 2 years he was in office, it was a Democrat Senate, Democrat Congress, and a Democrat president. He could have anything done and anything passed that he wanted, but he didn't, because he really doesn't care. See, that's the thing. He hypnotized us into thinking, or brainwashed us into thinking, that everybody who's dark-skinned is discriminated against by people with light skin. And you must hate all the light-skinned people because they're the ones who set up the system and you're being oppressed. So you have to riot. You have to be filled with hate. You have to divide yourself. You have to break up into groups instead of working together. It's about working together. And if there are people who have discriminated against you, in this country, we've set up a system that if this happens, you can sue them. You can go to the law. It can be done with dignity, just like Martin Luther King. Everything he did was with dignity. And if you're rotten no matter what color skin you have. That's why he said it's not the color of one's skin, it's the content of your character. You're rotten, you're rotten. It doesn't matter what color skin you have. And that's the way we need to look at things. Some people are just rotten. And we can't blame people for the sins of the father. As we know, there have been many saints that have come out of families. Saints doesn't have to be Catholic. People who live a saintly life, a good life. despite their home circumstances, despite how rotten their parents are, and despite, let's say, their parents are really abusive to them. Some people, an abused child will either become abusive or they will have empathy and knows what it feels like and go out and fight against abuse and try to stop evil and hatred in the world. So just because somebody has a certain color skin and maybe somebody in the past did something that had the same color skin, doesn't mean it falls on the sons or the daughters of that person or their descendants in the future or their ancestors of the past. And as I've been telling you a lot of things for a reason, to give you a big picture of the whole world, that it isn't just white people that have been bad. And in fact, white people have been bad to white people, sold them into slavery, killing them for stealing a piece of bread. And we have people that are brown or red-skinned or black or yellow that have committed atrocities. In fact, it was the Africans that started the slave trade. The transatlantic slave trade, which they sold the losers of the war, their own people, out into slavery all over the world. And in the Americas, as all they did was sacrifice each other from different tribes. And the sacrifices were the most horrific you can possibly imagine. Not painless death, but as painful and as bloody as possible. I won't go into the details, but there's a reason why I've been telling you all this. And if you take the time to listen to the videos, you will learn an awful lot. Because unfortunately, we have come into an age, as Orwell did predict, where history is being changed. History is being changed. And it's very easy to point a finger at a person or a group. Basically, it's a group of people. If you damn a large segment of society, then you can ask more. You can get more than if you just damn one person. You know, all the white people, all the wealthy white people, or just all the white people in general, or all the people who believe in this particular religion. You can get a lot more out of it instead of, we've damned the person that has created the ills of society. It is done. No, because the ways of socialism and communism, and I keep saying that because you don't know enough about it, it's never done. They're always pointing the finger. And should there be no one left in the group that they've been pointing the finger at, they will find another group. They keep finding groups, like the women's march or whatever. I don't even remember what they call it anymore. The whole women's thing. It was all against men. Men are bad. And then all of a sudden the group turned around and started pointing fingers at the white women. You've been oppressing women of color your entire life, and you probably don't even know how much you've been oppressing them. And so they were teaching them classes on how they were oppressing. And all of a sudden, so these women who have been abused, who finally came out and said, look, I've been abused by men, and they have some kind of camaraderie with all these women getting together, black, white, Hispanic, red, all different Asian, all different colors and religions. And then all of a sudden they were bad and they didn't even know that they were bad. That's classic. That's a classic tactic of abuse and control. And I would suggest you reading up on abuse and control, because that's what the Democratic Party is doing. That's what socialism and communism is doing. That they will make up something that you never thought that you were doing anything wrong. And all of a sudden you're doing something wrong. And you're punished for it. And that's what these women's groups who should be protecting women from abuse, all women should get together. and have this camaraderie. Well, I left these women's groups because I realized that the women who took over these groups, really big, loud, poorly dressed, but intentionally dressed, just, bad taste kind of thing, were yelling at the women in the group that they didn't like, especially the white women, even though these women were 100% white, because there's a certain privilege. But these women have something going on that makes them in a special group. And I said, that's it. I'm walking away. I can't, this isn't the first time I've been here. I'm walking away from this group. It's been hijacked. The women's group, once there was compassion and it made sense, and now it's been hijacked. So I'm shortening up my videos, and I wanted to explain a little bit about the other videos and why they're so long. It's a class, like you're going to a class every day, and you're learning the big picture. And that's what I want to do. I'm teaching you the big picture on what's going on and what the history is, so you know when somebody blames you for being white, you have this privilege, when the fact is a lot of these white people, I would say most of them, don't have any privilege at all. Maybe some do, but a lot of them have come out of very difficult situations. So you can't point your finger and judge someone. I know that there's a saying, there's a Native American saying, let me not criticize my neighbor until I've walked a mile in his moccasins. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind the next time you see a white person, or a person of any color or religion. Let me not criticize them until I've walked a mile in their shoes. So, signing off, and I will be back with another short video. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.